When I look at AI, I think it's an equalizer in a lot of ways, right? I think that we can build faster. I think we can build better. And I think if we are willing to embrace it, it changes everything. Hi, I'm Jayson Manship, host of Authentic and Agentic, presented by TechPoint. Every week on this show, we break down what's happening in AI and what it means for how we work, lead, and live. Join me for a human-focused conversation that keeps you ahead of the curve. This is the Authentic and Agentic podcast on the IBJ Media Podcast Network.
Welcome to a special conversation with the newest host on the IBJ Media Podcast Network, your home for the podcast for the latest in innovation, business, and the future of work. I'm Mitch Frazier, president of IBJ Media, here with Jayson Manship,
Hey, Mitch.
host of the very new podcast. This, the first episode of Authentic and Agentic, a weekly podcast exploring artificial intelligence in a way that is practical, ethical, and deeply human. I love that packaging.
Yeah, I think the deeply human is the part I'm most excited about.
It's, Jayson, when you look at artificial intelligence, it is everywhere. It is in every news segment, every factor of this economy. You have been at the forefront of each and every step. Before we get into what Authentic and Agentic is, this new weekly podcast, people have to know about you. You are an entrepreneur. You are a guy who has started, I don't know, a couple dozen businesses, it feels like.
Yeah.
You have been on the forefront of artificial intelligence. For those that don't know Jayson Manship, give us a quick flyover of who you are and why this a podcast.
Well, my mom is very proud of me. My wife is very annoyed by me, right? I think maybe it's the simplest way to clarify that. So I went to school for entrepreneurship. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur and an innovator. I didn't exactly know what that meant, but I knew that was my path. So I have been that curious guy that's always wanted to dig and try to understand the why behind the what.
Yeah.
While I was there, I went to school at Ball State. It was the top fourth-ranked program in the country at the time.
Do you have to say chirp, chirp every time you say Ball State?
In my head, I say it,
I
right?
knew. I looked at it.
Chirp,
It's in your eye.
Got to fit it in, right? So went to school for entrepreneurship. While I was there, I studied accounting because most businesses fail because they don't know how to manage their cash flow.
Fair.
And then I taught myself to code while I was there also. So I've always been kind of at the front end of the tech and the business and just kind of combined all those things together. And so when I think about the state of today, where AI is everywhere and all things, like you said, having that background, having, the entrepreneurial, innovative insight with the technical is just an awesome fit for me. And so I feel like I'm just kind of built for this moment.
Well, you are also a humble guy. I mean, I've gotten to know you over the last couple of years, and I think it's also important folks know. I mean, when you say you've kind of been at the forefront of it and you've done a bunch of different things in business, you've launched a catering company. I think you've launched an outsourced CFO company, if I remember right.
Yeah.
You have, this is from memory, you've launched a board game retail outlet.
That's right.
This isn't just a guy who is doing tech. This is a guy who is applying tech to every fabric of the economy.
Well, I'm really good at leaning in. And in every one of those scenarios, I have partners that are really good at doing the thing. And so I'm not day-to-day every day in the catering company, but it's grown pretty big. I think we're probably the third largest caterer in the state of Indiana now, Nameless Catering.
It's amazing.
My CFO company, I don't do anything. He actually bought me out of that one, but I helped him start it, right? And that was really my background. And so, yeah, I'm always interested in the why. I'm always interested in the, why couldn't I just do that? Yeah. And so I just do.
So you decide, we started talking a couple months ago. You said, hey, we have to do this AI podcast.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was an emphatic direction that we will do a podcast.
Yeah.
You came up with the name Authentic and Agentic. I fell in love with it. Why the name? What does it mean?
Well, the authentic piece is really the cornerstone of this entire podcast. It's the human side of it, right? As we lean deeper and deeper into automation and technology, I think we all should worry about what that means to us as humans. And so to me, as all of this moves faster and faster and faster, the real relationships we have, the human side of it is probably the most important thing. Agentic, if you're an AI person, that term is second nature, right? Building an agent that goes out and does a thing for you. But I was laughing as I was thinking back to when I first told Nate about this.
Yeah.
He said, I don't know what that is. And then I saw him a month later and he said, everyone I talk to uses the word agentic now.
Yeah,
right? And it really just is hitting the lexicon. And so I think it's clever. I think it's interesting, but it's really about being deeply human. I loved how you said that.
Well, to me, there's a need. I think there's so many, me included, who know that you have to think about AI.
Yeah.
You have to think about AI for efficiency, think about AI in your life, just the ways in which we interact with the economy.
Yep.
When you think about this podcast going to be out every week, this, our first episode, your first episode. So thanks for letting me be on your podcast, I guess. As you look at this, what can leaders, what can listeners, what can viewers expect from Authentic and Agentic, and how will it help them? What role will it play in their life?
I think it really depends on where they are today.
Yeah.
And so I talk to folks that have heard of AI and use maybe ChatGPT as a bot and don't really know the power of what it's going to do and how it's going to work. And then I talk to people who live in it every day and realize the Iron Man suit that they put on and can do things 5 times faster and 5 times better. And so it really, my hope for this podcast is that we can talk to business leaders and community leaders that aren't necessarily just like the tech bros, right, who get it. But these are folks that, like you, know they need to learn more, aren't really sure where to turn or what to listen to. And so I hope we unpack some of that for people in a really human way.
And as you've contemplated this idea for a podcast, it's been fun to see how you've thought about it. It's not going to be just an interview series. Yeah. There's some real practical how-tos that you're thinking about as well.
Yeah, so I lead a lot of workshops now, and I teach a lot of people the AI in all different capacities, right? And one of the things that I hear a lot is, show me hands-on, show me actual, let me get my hands dirty and see this thing. And for many folks, that's the light bulb. When you actually see how you just cut 2 hours a day out of your daily life by automating this task that you do every day at work, now what do I do with those 2 hours, right? It changes a lot. And so, yeah, it's more than just let's have a chat about AI. It's going to be, we're going to cover some news and we're going to dig deeper into the how do we do some of this stuff also.
Now, before we jumped on, you were telling us you've already reached out to a handful of guests.
Yeah.
2 giant names who have said, they didn't say, it wasn't a hard no as I'm going to take it. It was just a not now.
Yeah.
What are you hearing? What are some of the themes you're hearing from some of the folks you're talking with that you're going to bring on to Authentic and Agentic?
The really techie folks are all having the conversations about the human side of this. Okay. Right? What happens when this, I mean, the hard problems that we as a society have to solve are still to come. And people don't know the answers. If you ask the smartest people in the world that are leading these models how this stuff works, they'll tell you they're not sure. If you hear Sam Altman talk, the founder of OpenAI, he'll tell you, well, it could go one of a couple directions. Like, that should be a little concerning for us if we're not sure what's going to happen. And so I think there are conversations that have to happen at the dinner table, in the boardroom, with employees, with coworkers. I mean, there's a lot to talk about here.
And it's the people behind it.
That's
is
right.
The piece. I mean, this deeply human component. I don't want to not spend time on this because, Jayson, it is the thing that I think is so vastly needed. People talk about Claude and ChatGPT and they talk about the tools.
Yeah.
And to your point, hey, it may free up some time in the day, but what are some of those pieces, this deeply human piece? What do you think you're going to be able to pull out of it? And have you uncovered any kernels of stories?
Oh, for sure.
That you're going to uncover?
I'm super excited for this stuff. So, I mean, when you think about Excel, right, if you're in software every day and you work as an accountant or in the business world, like, it's probably a pretty valuable tool that helps make your life a little faster and a little better, right?
Absolutely.
AI is everywhere at all times, always, right? It is moving so fast and it can be good or bad in a lot of different directions. And so I think about things like a marriage counselor, right? Mason, a couple months ago, ran a story in the 8 at 8 about how ChatGPT is ruining marriages.
Oh, wow.
Right? That's much different than a business boardroom thing because, I mean, think about like doctors when WebMD came out.
Yeah.
Right? Ask any doctor what they think of WebMD and they're annoyed, right? Because patients walk in and they've already got it all figured out. They've diagnosed their own issues, right? Now put yourself in the role of a marriage counselor that you walk in and you've already ChatGPT'd how to solve this problem with your spouse. And how do I respond and react? How do I coach you well? How do I help you think? Right? I mean, it's touching places that Excel didn't touch.
Yeah.
Indiana's digital economy is changing fast, and TechPoint is helping lead the way. TechPoint drives Indiana's digital economy through talent, innovation, and community. Their new report, AI-Driven Skills for Indiana's Economy, explores how AI is reshaping our workforce. It's built for employers, educators, and job seekers who want to understand which skills are most in demand in our state's rapidly evolving economy. Download it today at techpoint.org/AI skills.
Well, I think the other piece is as we look at the deeply human component of this, we're humans in business, and we're businesses that are human.
That's right.
And this idea that it is, two parts, two halves of a whole, it was an element that I know was so attractive to TechPoint, the sponsor of this podcast, the presenting sponsor of the Authentic and Agentic podcast. This idea that AI can be an enabler to productivity.
That's exactly
and
right.
It's not just in business, it's for business.
That's right.
But it could be outside of business as well.
That's right. Exactly right. And I mean, you mentioned TechPoint. Like when I thought of who I could work with to produce this podcast, they were literally the only group I thought of. They are fundamentally focused every day on building a digital economy with talent and innovation and community, right? And so that is AI in a nutshell, right? And so as I was talking to them, I was thinking about some of the hard problems that we have to solve. And we're going to explore this in an upcoming episode where 10 years ago, when I first met the folks at TechPoint and worked with them, it was the brain drain here in Indiana, right? Like kids were not wanting to stay in Indiana. We don't have beaches, we don't have mountains, whatever, right? Now, these genius kids are graduating from university in our state, and the job market's hard because a lot of employers aren't hiring entry-level people. And how do organizations like TechPoint, how do we as employers in this state think about this? It's going to be really hard to have a senior level developer if there were never junior level developers.
That's right. That's exactly right. There becomes a bubble in the talent break line of how do we work ourselves through that, and how do we enable both those young leaders as well as the current business leaders to understand that equation and solve for it.
And that's the human part of it too, right? So when you're a CEO, you're tasked with creating a profitable enterprise.
Yeah.
If I could replace your job with a bot, right? It's not a black and white answer.
Right.
It really is a deep conversation around culture and team and humans and building. And I think it's personal. It touches all of us.
Yeah, and it's not, and I think I'm so glad you said it, it's deeply personal, and it's about culture, and it's about innovation. This is not an or discussion.
That's right.
And I think for those, and look, we're all stumbling, not you, you're way ahead, but a lot of us in business, I think across the economy are stumbling our way through AI.
Sure.
Because you can get into this false dichotomy of it's this or that.
Yeah.
No, in this case, it's probably this and that.
It absolutely is. And I'll tell a quick anecdote. Maybe 10 years ago, I had a chance to go out to Silicon Valley, and I got to sit down with a guy named Ron Conway, who's one of the godfathers of angel investing. He's like one of the first guys in at all the major groups, right? And I said to him, as an entrepreneur from Indiana, what's one single piece of advice you could give me? And his answer, move to Silicon Valley.
Ugh.
He flat out told me and the other people in the room that the ecosystem is better there, the systems are better there, everyone's more equipped there. When I look at AI, I think it's an equalizer in a lot of ways, right? I think that we can build faster. I think we can build better. And I think if we are willing to embrace it, it changes everything.
It's fascinating to hear your perspective on that. I think back to my time in tech with the team at ExactTarget, Scott Dorsey, one of the co-founders, one of the greatest human beings in my life. I remember Scott sharing the story. He shares it today on stage of, when he and Chris and Peter decided they were going to create a tech company, and they were going to do it in this place called Indianapolis.
That's right.
That it was almost unheard of.
Yeah.
And then you look at, chapter after chapter after chapter of the company's growth, a couple $100 million in venture capital, largest SaaS IPO in the history of the New York Stock Exchange at the time of going public. And what Scott would point to was the differentiator that was Indianapolis. And that was really, you could argue, as maybe in the first chapter or the second chapter of SaaS, cloud computing, software as a service, whatever we want to call that category. What you just said, I have never heard before. And it is, AI could be the same.
Yeah.
AI has the same potential.
It depends on how you and your team and your company lean into it, right? You have this Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
Put it on and figure out what to do with it.
You have been clear. We got to wrap up because Jayson and I could talk all day. This is amazing. You've been clear from day one that this is going to be a conversation. This is going to be you interacting with the audience online, in person, all over. Folks, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. They're ready. Please do hit subscribe. They want to hear from you. You want to hear from them. How do you envision that working? How can listeners who are subscribing now interact with you? And what do you see that you can deliver them uniquely here on the Authentic and Agentic podcast?
Well, I'm hopeful that it's authentic.
Yes.
Right. And we'll dig into the agentic. And so I'll be all over social channels. So engaging conversation there.
Great.
Also, AuthenticandAgentic.com. I'm looking for two things, really. One, if you have ideas on folks that would be great to talk to, maybe have unique perspective. I'm sourcing guests for future episodes. And two, we're going to try to solve actual problems on the podcast. And so I'm stuck with X. I don't know what to do here. Like, throw them over the fence and we'll see if we can solve those for you.
I love it.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. He's Jayson Manship, host of the Authentic and Agentic podcast, a new weekly podcast here on the IBJ Media Podcast Network. Be sure to subscribe. We talked about it earlier. Be sure to subscribe. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And if you are an IBJ subscriber, you can watch, you can listen, you can get Jayson's podcast and all of our podcasts across the IBJ Media Podcast Network directly from the IBJ Media app. On behalf of the entire IBJ Media team, thank you for joining us. Jayson, thank you for being a part of the team.
Excited.
We look forward to seeing Authentic and Agentic real soon.
Thank you. Cheers.